Hey guys, this is Tristan with Circuit Motorsports. We're at SEMA 2013. I'm here with Geoff from Full Race, and we're going to go over the Borg Warner Turbo Kit and the Full Race Kit that puts it in the stock location for the GD STIs and the 08 Plus STIs. Go ahead, Geoff.
All right, there's a few different features on the Borg Warner EFRs that really make them unique. One of the main features is it has a very aerodynamic, high-flow internal wastegate. And you can see the turbo is physically long. The reason it's long is it has this valve inside of it. And when this wastegate opens, it has a very similar flow to an external wastegate. It's the only wastegate that flows like this. So that in itself is a significant advantage, especially with Subarus where they're almost always internal gate. And a lot of guys want to go external gate to gain the power. You're not going to gain any power going external gate on something like this.
Okay.
Another feature has a built-in blow-off valve into the compressor housing. It's not a huge performance adding feature, but it's a big value increase. Obviously, Subarus already have the blow-off valve on the intercooler. So what most of our customers end up doing is actually blocking that intercooler valve off and then running the EFR.
Okay.
So from feature standpoint, that's kind of an interesting thing. But from a performance standpoint, that's where the EFR series gets really interesting. So here is a traditional turbine wheel. You can feel the weight of that turbine wheel. The material it's made out of is Inconel. And pretty much all turbo manufacturers, high-end turbo manufacturers, make an Inconel turbine wheel.
Okay.
It's very strong at elevated temperatures, but the downside is it's quite heavy.
Right, it's pretty heavy.
So you can feel the same exact blade shape. You can see everything's identical, but this is gamma tie.
Yeah.
It's titanium aluminide. It's exactly half of the mass. So when these things are spinning at 120, 150,000 RPM, a reduction in inertia like this is a massive improvement.
Right.
Spool, response, torque, and overall power. So Borg Warner is the only company that's mastered titanium turbine wheels. It's a very tricky process to make these things happen.
Yeah, it's significantly lighter.
Right.
I mean, much lighter.
Another thing you'll see is that on this groove, this is the seals. Borg Warner EFRs have two seals on both sides, so sometimes you might see turbos that are burning oil or leaking oil. That doesn't happen on a Borg Warner because it has double redundant seals.
Okay.
Next, the bearing. This bearing material is made of M50, which is a military-grade bearing material.
Okay.
And it uses ceramic balls encapsulated in a metal cage that's covered with silver. And the reason they cover with silver is so that it doesn't gall. If you compare that to some of the other turbochargers out there, more commonly known ball bearing turbos, they use a stainless steel cage, stainless steel balls, and a plastic bearing retaining ring.
Okay.
So obviously that's not true motorsport grade.
Right, right.
And all the EFR turbos were engineered for IndyCar. That was actually the reason that Borg Warner kind of pushed production ahead with all this program. Every IndyCar runs twin EFR 6758s, and that gentleman you were talking about with the Subaru kit in Florida,
sure,
he runs our kit with the 6758, and that is a very potent turbocharger for its small size, for a diminutive size.
Right.
And some of these factors all have a part to play, but what's really interesting and the Subaru crowd is by far most interested in is this particular turbo. It's called the 7163.
Okay.
This turbo has a very unique blade shape. You can see on this blade, it's a flat shape, and this one looks like it has a little bit of a ramp or like a mountain shape put into it.
Right.
And the real interesting part about that is on a general turbo, the air is going to enter the turbine housing, go around the radius, and then it leaves at 90 degrees. That's called radial flow. Every turbo you've ever seen is a radial flow turbo.
Okay.
A jet engine is a little bit different. In a jet engine, the exhaust goes straight from compressor straight down the line. That's called axial flow. The air never changes direction. And that's why jet engines can generate much more thrust. We can't do that on an automotive application because we've got the bearing sandwich in the center.
Right.
But what we can do is we can use this very special blade shape to create a pressure gradient. So instead of entering at a 90, it enters at a 45. And that slight change creates much more torque on the engine. So you can get very aggressive with compressor geometry.
Okay.
So it's got a really unique compressor design and turbine design. The actual term is mixed flow turbine, or MFT. And it's used in some modern high performance diesel engines. The latest technology, diesel engines are using this kind of technology.
Okay.
Borg Warner has applied it to gasoline engine technology in this particular turbo. We've tested it on some Subarus. We used some early prototypes that were not nearly as high performing as this new production turbo is, and the performance were just mind-blowing. The guys who've tested it had never seen this level of performance. So the Subaru crowd, there's a pretty long thread on the Naziok forum about it.
Right.
Subaru crowd just like foaming at the mouth, when are we going to get these? So Borg Warner starts shipping this week.
This week?
Yeah,
Okay,
it's
awesome.
SEMA, debut, release, everything starts shipping this week. So
Okay.
it's happening. The backlogs are actually probably going to take every single turbo that's been shipping, because we've got guys who've been wanting this turbo for a year and a half now.
Right.
And they've been patiently waiting. But without any question, if I were building myself an STi, a 2.5 STI, this turbo stock location game on. One of the really interesting features about this blow-off valve is you can see there's a slot right on the inside of this thing. And what that slot actually does is it vents the high pressure boost air right to the intake stream, and it gives a nice burst of high pressure air just shot right at the compressor wheel. And a feature you see right here is the integrated speed sensor port. So we drop a sensor in there and it tells us exactly how fast the turbo is spinning. And basically you can see that if you vent this to atmosphere versus recircling it, in between gear shifts, the turbo retains shaft speed slightly better by venting the recirc versus a vent to atmosphere traditional blow-off valve. It's not a huge difference, but it's every little aspect that adds up to make for a huge difference.
Right. Awesome. Cool. Well, we really appreciate all the information, Geoff, and we're really looking forward to seeing these kits once they come out in about a week.
Cool, man. Thanks a lot for your time.
Appreciate it. Thanks
Thanks, guys.